25,000 people are now known to have died, and entire communities lost after those devastating earthquakes and aftershocks. Among the heartbreaking scenes, there have been glimmers of hope like this, but they are becoming even more rare as the death toll climbs. Our Jackson Proskow was the first journalist to reach one devastated neighborhood, waiting desperately for help. We want to warn you, though, this report contains disturbing images, and it will be difficult to watch for some.
Through their tears, the people of Besni wanted us to hear their stories. We are in a very desperate situation here, this man explained. His sister's family was still under their collapsed apartment building 4 days after the earthquake, along with dozens and dozens of others. This boy told us he crawled out of the rubble through a small hole. His parents did not survive. Residents showed us bodies still visible in the ruins. They showed us video of a trapped woman crying out for help 2 days after the earthquake. They couldn't save her.
One woman cried, and she was alive, and we couldn't save her, and she died. But we saw her.
Mustafa Karaca says he phoned every agency and official begging for help for his neighborhood. After a Polish team brought sniffer dogs that found people alive under the rubble, no one came.
Here lived almost 200 people, and totally saved maybe 10 people. And we are calling and going to everywhere, but we couldn't get anything.
There's a shortage of the heavy equipment needed to dig into the deepest parts of this crumpled mass. The equipment only arrived on day 4. Too late to find anything but death.
All of them were my neighbors, and I know them.
My sister and her husband, her 3 kids were living here.
Ikut showed us pictures of his young niece and nephews. He showed us where their bodies were. All he wanted was to give them the dignity of a proper burial.
4 days waiting, but there is still nothing. The bodies can be seen. We can see them, but cannot take out.
Even with heavy equipment and the arrival of rescue workers, survivors still risked their own lives on the precarious debris, often digging with their hands out of pure desperation. In Besni, they have waited too long and lost too much. Death haunts the living, so does survival.
For 4 days there, and it's cold, and they're hurting. And we are healthy, but it's very, very hard for us too.
The locals tell us that many people had moved into these newer buildings thinking that they would actually be safer in the event of an earthquake. In the end, it was the new buildings that crumbled. The old buildings are still standing. Jackson Proskow, Global News, Besni, Turkey.